Hello everyone and thanks for hanging out with me. Today I want to compare Id.4 and Id.3, everything, specs, features, and then of course how it drives. Important, of course, this is a 77 kilowatt hour battery because it's the first edition Max, but I have a first edition Plus. In the Id.3 it was 58 kilowatt hour battery, but you can have the Id.3 with a 77 kilowatt hour battery, and I drove that car so I can tell you how different it is to the Id.4. Of course, with the Id.4 it's an SUV and Id.3 is a hatchback, so of course you have a different form. You can see that the Id.4 is just a bit bigger and longer, but therefore you also have more space. But they have the same lights, like I said, the same motor. So they're very, very similar. They have the same software, the same interface, how everything reacts to buttons. It's exactly the same thing. First difference, Id.3 only comes with manual trunk opening, goes up very high, and of course the space in the trunk is way less. Id.4 can be electric. It also has the foot thing where you move your foot down there and then it opens automatically. And motorized and way more space. It's way longer and to the back. Height is the same. This one you can also have in the Id.3, so you have a different space under there, and of course button. And you can also open and close it in the driver's door button. In the Id.4, this middle display can be bigger. In the Id.3 it's always the same size. In Id.4 you can choose to have the same size as Id.3 or bigger like it is here. But it's exactly the same software, it's just zoomed in, everything is just bigger. Id.4 can have memory seats, which is amazing. Electric seats you can have in the Id.3 as well, but memory seats only in Id.4. And here's the button for the trunk there where I was just talking about. Id.4 also has a 360-degree camera, which the Id.3 cannot have. So we have cameras in the mirrors, in the front and in the back. The door handles are different, as you can see here. Totally different than mine. And the mechanism also feels different. Also when you open the car inside. The wheels in the Id.4 can be bigger. Id.3 goes from 18 to 20 inch, but Id.4 can go from 18 inch to 21 inch. Id.4 can of course also have a tow hook, and it can pull, I think, 1200 kilos or 1000 kilos depending on the elevation. Also something nice in the Id.4 is that they have a 3-zone climate. Id.3 has 2-zone, some even 1-zone, but in the Id.4 you can have different temperature here in the back. Now let's look at the passenger space. So in here, this has a panoramic roof, but there's so much space up here. I have the seat all the way in the bottom. This is how I like to sit, and especially since the car is a bit higher, being SUV, but also mine because of the battery, it's a few centimeters higher. But there's just so much room up here. I have all the room in the world here. But look how the back seats are when I have it in this position. Yeah, a lot of space. Headrest has to be higher for me. But I can feel, if I'm sitting here, I'm 180 centimeters tall. I'm touching the roof with my hair a bit. But this could also be because of the panoramic roof. But space to the front is amazing. Now let's look at my car, my Id.3. Again, if I sit in here, I have lots of room up here. There's no problem at all. I feel it's a bit more spacious in the Id.4 than is here, but I'm not feeling cramped here. Now if I go in the back front seat is at my height, and I have, I would say, almost maybe a bit of more room in the Id.4, but do I need it? The seats have a bit more side support, I have to say. I would prefer this. When it comes to the height, exactly the same as in the Id.4, but this doesn't have the panoramic roof. I think the panoramic roof needs a bit more space. So if you get the Id.4 without panoramic roof, it would have more space than this. But still, I feel fine in here. Headrest is also adjustable, all fine. Also different in the Id.4 is that there's only one holder for a phone. In the Id.3 there are two. I know it's bad with my camera angle in the back there, but I cannot adjust it the way that you could see it very well, and I cannot put my rod in that I usually use because it has a panoramic roof. I would crack the screen. I can't do that. So you have seen me drive my Id.3 many times. What you have to know, and it's not specific Id.4, it's the big battery. So they both drive, Id.3, Id.4 drive extremely similar. You don't feel in the Id.4 that you are in an SUV. You have more control, by the way. I have seen in mode and individual that you have DCC, so dynamic chassis control. You can set that from comfort to sport. That's nice, but other than this, it's the same setting: steering wheel, acceleration, your drive modes and everything. It's the same. But so what's important difference Id.3 and Id.4, it's in both of course, is the battery size. Because of the bigger battery, you get more weight and you can feel that. So I drove the Id.3 Pro S which has the 77 kilowatt hour battery, and this car in here also has the 77 kilowatt hour battery. What you notice with the more weight is that acceleration is less, of course. So when you floor it, even in sport mode, it's a second slower. And Id.4, Id.3 are almost the same. I think it's 8.3 and this is 8.5 seconds. What you notice is regen, because it's more weight. Regen feels like it's less. You have to use the brake more. So in my car I can use regen alone to slow down more than in the bigger battery. And also cornering. When you go into a corner, how the car feels, you can feel it's heavier. And that's the difference. Also, turn off auto hold. I don't like that. I know, at least everything is the same when it comes to adjusting everything. So when I feel the Id.3, so it doesn't matter Id.3, Id.4. When it comes to the smaller battery, it feels more agile. I haven't driven the Id.4 with the small battery yet, so I prefer driving the middle battery. Maybe the small battery, but it's not as much power, would be even better. Let's do cruise control. Head-up display is nice and bright. I like that. Can I put it brighter? Brightness 50%. How do I change that? Put it to 100. I want it fully bright so I can film it in the night. At night. Yeah. So again, ID family cars right now are not sporty cars, and so to have a bigger battery and then it's even a bit less sporty, I think it's okay. It's not a big deal, but I prefer mine. Just overall, how it feels in the corner, acceleration and regen. The drive feel for me is better in the small battery than in the big one, and I drove the Pro S for I think 400 or 500 kilometers and the Id.4 for 200. I prefer it. I prefer the middle battery. That's just my thing. When it comes to noise level, same thing here. What I noticed, I totally forgot, the side mirrors are bigger than in the Id.3. You can see more. That's nice. Consumption will be a bit higher in the Id.4 because it's of how the car is, SUV-like. Control all the same. Yeah. I don't like the dark interior, I prefer mine. But other than that, you get the same options. I think I went through everything that we have in the car. Go drive both and then decide for yourself if the more weight is okay for you. Of course, you get more range than in the middle battery of the Id.3, but you get the same battery, then you have a tiny bit more range in the Id.3. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.